Stop caring and watch everything change. The day you genuinely stop caring about the wrong things is the day everything you actually want begins to arrive. Not because the universe rewards indifference. Not because wanting things is wrong. Not because caring is weakness and the person who feels nothing wins. But because there's a specific category of caring a specific set of things that most people are pouring their most precious energy in every single day that is not just unproductive. It is actively preventing the life they're trying to build from being able to arrive. The Stoics identified this category with extraordinary precision. They named it clearly. They developed a complete philosophical framework for releasing it. And the people who have genuinely applied that framework across every era, every culture, every set of circumstances in which human beings have seriously engaged with Stoic philosophy describe the experience of that release the same way every time. They describe it as the moment everything changed, not because circumstances changed first, but because they did. And when the person changes at that depth, when the caring is genuinely redirected from what was draining it to what is worth it, the circumstances follow with a consistency that looks, from the outside, like luck. It is not luck. It is the natural consequence of a person who has finally stopped spending their energy on the wrong things and started investing it in the right ones. Today we are going inside exactly what that means. What to stop caring about. Why stopping changes everything, and the specific Stoic practices that make genuine release not just a nice idea, but an actual daily capacity. If you're new to this channel, welcome. We go deep into Stoic philosophy and human psychology and bring both into the real texture of your life. Subscribe right now and hit the bell notification. We release these videos regularly, and everyone is built for people who are serious about understanding themselves. Subscribe now. Let's go. The difference between caring and draining. Before we talk about what to stop caring about, we need to make a distinction that the Stoics considered absolutely foundational, because this video is not about becoming indifferent to life. It is not about shutting down. It is not about the performance of not caring that some people mistake for strength and that always collapses under pressure because it was never genuine. The distinction is between caring that comes from genuine values and caring that comes from fear. Caring from genuine values looks like this. You care about the quality of your work because the quality of your work reflects who you are and what you stand for. You care about the people you love because they genuinely matter to you and the relationship is genuinely real. You care about justice because your rational nature is oriented toward what is right, and responding to injustice with genuine concern is the natural expression of that orientation. This kind of caring is not what we are releasing today. This kind of caring is one of the primary mechanisms through which a human being expresses their genuine character. The Stoics were deeply invested in this kind of caring. They called it virtue, and they considered it the most important thing a person could do with their energy. Caring from fear looks completely different. You care about what people think of you because you are afraid that if they think badly of you, something essential will be taken. You care about whether you're being talked about, being judged, being correctly perceived, because the fear of social rejection has been running so long and so quietly that it feels like genuine concern, but is actually just anxiety. You care about outcomes you cannot control, because the thought of not controlling them produces a specific quality of panic that feels too uncomfortable to sit with. This kind of caring is what we are releasing today. And the Stoics were unambiguous about why releasing it changes everything. Because this kind of caring is a drain. It consumes real energy. It occupies real cognitive and emotional space. It directs real attention and real effort toward things that are not in your control, and that therefore produce no return on the investment regardless of how much you give them. Stop this caring. And every unit of energy it was consuming becomes available for the caring that actually produces something real. That is the mechanism. That is why everything changes. The 5 things to genuinely stop caring about. Thing 1. Stop caring about what people think of you. The first thing to stop caring about is the one that has consumed more human energy across more human lives than perhaps any other single item in the history of the species. What do the people think of you? The Stoics address this with a directness that still carries shock value 2,000 years later. Epictetus said, "If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said of you, but answer, 'He was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned only these.'" That is not defensiveness. That is the specific quality of inner freedom available to a person who has genuinely stopped building their identity from the outside in, who has genuinely ceased to treat the opinion of others as a reliable or relevant source of information about their worth. When you genuinely stop caring what people think of you, not the performance of not caring, but the genuine philosophical release of the need for external validation, several things happen simultaneously that look, from the outside, like transformation. You begin making decisions from your genuine values rather than from the management of perception. And decisions made from genuine values are almost always better decisions. More aligned, more sustainable, more productive of outcomes you actually want. You stop self-editing in ways that were making you smaller. The opinions you were keeping to yourself. The creative work you were not producing because of the fear of judgment. The genuine self you were managing rather than expressing. All of that returns to availability when the caring about judgment is released. And paradoxically, and the Stoics observe this with characteristic precision, the person who genuinely stops caring what others think becomes significantly more attractive to other people. Not because indifference is appealing, but because the genuine self, freely expressed without the constant management of perception, is almost always more interesting, more real, and more genuinely compelling than the carefully curated version. Stop caring what they think, and watch who you become when you stop. Thing 2. Stop caring about outcomes you cannot control. The second thing is the one that is most directly addressed by the central Stoic philosophical framework, and it is the one whose release produces the most immediate and most dramatic change in daily experience. Stop caring about outcomes you cannot control. This does not mean stop pursuing outcomes. The Stoics were not passive. They pursued outcomes with full energy and full commitment. What they released was the caring about whether the outcome materialized, the anxiety, the desperate gripping, the investment of their sense of worth, and their daily peace in variables that were not fully theirs to govern. Epictetus made this the first principle of his entire system. Some things are in our power. Some things are not. The outcomes of our actions are not fully in our power. They depend on our effort, which is in our power, and on a dozen other variables that are not. The person who cares desperately about outcomes they cannot control is always anxious. Always. Because the outcome is never guaranteed. The effort can be perfect, and the outcome can still be unfavorable. And if the caring about the outcome is what is governing the inner state, that inner state is permanently at the mercy of variables that were never controllable. The person who releases that caring, who genuinely, philosophically redirects their investment from the outcome to the quality of their effort, experiences something remarkable. The anxiety does not entirely disappear, but it loses its grip because the thing they have invested their inner state in, the quality of what they're doing right now, is genuinely in their control. And investing in what you can control always produces a return. Release the outcome. Invest in the effort. And watch the paradox the Stoics described consistently unfold. The person who cares less about the outcome and more about the quality of the process almost always produces better outcomes than the person whose desperate caring about results has been compromising the quality of the work. Thing 3. Stop caring about being understood by everyone. The third thing is one that quietly drains enormous energy from people who are serious, thoughtful, and genuinely invested in the quality of their relationships with others. Stop caring about being understood by everyone. This does not mean stop communicating clearly. It does not mean stop trying to be understood by the people who matter and who have demonstrated the genuine interest and the genuine capacity to do the understanding. It means stop exhausting yourself trying to explain yourself to people who have already decided what they think about you. Stop revising your communication, trying to reach people who are not interested in genuine understanding. Stop spending your energy on the endless project of making sure everyone has the accurate version of who you are and what you meant and why you did what you did. Marcus Aurelius governed an empire and was regularly misunderstood, misrepresented, and criticized by people who had neither the information nor the goodwill to assess him accurately. His response, visible throughout the Meditations, was not to exhaust himself with the project of correction. It was to know himself clearly enough that the misunderstanding of others did not shake the foundation. To do the right thing whether or not it was recognized as the right thing. To allow his actions, sustained over time, to be the only communication that genuinely mattered. Stop caring about being understood by everyone. Know yourself clearly. Act from your genuine values consistently. And let the people who are capable of genuine understanding arrive at it in their own time through their honest observation of who you actually are. The rest, the people who will not understand regardless of how carefully you explain, are not your audience. Release them. Thing 4. Stop caring about your past version of yourself. The fourth thing is the one that most people do not immediately recognize as a drain, but that quietly governs an enormous proportion of their daily experience in ways that prevent genuine forward movement. Stop caring about your past version of yourself. The mistakes, the failures, the choices that did not reflect your genuine values. The person you were in circumstances you're no longer in. The version of yourself that you are still in some part of your inner life, either defending or prosecuting. The Stoics were unambiguous about the past. It is the one domain that is completely, permanently, irrevocably beyond your power. What happened, happened. It is immovable, and the energy spent on it, in guilt, in shame, in the endless rerunning of what should have been different, is energy taken from the only temporal location where genuine agency exists. The present moment. The Stoic move with the past version of yourself is not the dismissal of it, not the pretense that it did not happen or that it does not matter, but the extraction of its genuine usefulness, the lesson, the learning, the course correction it makes possible, and the release of the rest. You made a mistake. Extract the lesson. Release the self-prosecution. The lesson is useful. The ongoing guilt is not. It does not serve the person you are becoming. It does not undo the past. It only drains the present. The Stoics were building forward, always forward, using everything the past had taught them and releasing everything the past wanted to keep them in. Stop caring about the past version of yourself as anything other than the teacher it was. Graduate from the lesson and move. Thing 5. Stop caring about being liked by people who do not align with your values. The fifth thing is the one that requires the most courage to genuinely release, because the desire to be liked is one of the most deeply rooted human drives. In releasing it, genuinely, philosophically, at the level where it has been governing behavior, feels initially like a loss before it reveals itself as one of the most profound freedoms available. Stop caring about being liked by people who do not align with your values. The Stoics were deeply interested in what they called philosophical friendship, the genuine, mutual, values-based connection between people who share a commitment to the examined life and to genuine virtue. They valued this deeply. They pursued it with genuine investment. What they did not do was exhaust themselves trying to be liked by people whose values were fundamentally incompatible with their own, trying to fit into social environments that required the suppression or the modification of their genuine character, adjusting their authentic expression to avoid the disapproval of people whose approval required the betrayal of what they genuinely stood for. When you genuinely stop caring about being liked by people who do not align with your values, the relief is almost physical. The specific exhaustion of the ongoing self-modification, the constant low-level effort of managing how you come across to people for whom your genuine self is not quite right, simply stops. And into the space that exhaustion was occupying comes something that the Stoics considered one of the primary indicators of genuine philosophical progress: the feeling of being genuinely yourself, of not performing, of saying what you actually think and acting as you actually are, and taking up exactly the space your genuine character naturally occupies. The people who align with that genuine self will find you. They always do. When the performance stops, the genuine connection becomes possible. And genuine connection, even with fewer people than the performance was maintaining the appearance of, is worth infinitely more than the exhausting simulation of being liked by everyone. Stop caring about their approval. Start living your actual life. And watch who arrives when you do. The Stoic practices for genuine release. Understanding what to stop caring about is the beginning. The practices that make genuine release possible are what build it into actual daily capacity. The first practice, the daily energy audit. Every evening, ask one question about the day. Where did I spend carrying energy today that produced nothing real? Now, where did I invest effort in genuine values? Where did I pour energy into the 5 categories we just went through? Opinion management, outcome anxiety, the project of being universally understood, the prosecution of my past self, or the pursuit of approval from people who do not align with my values. Name it specifically. Write it down. Not to judge yourself, to see the pattern, because the pattern, seen clearly and consistently over time, produces the most powerful motivation for genuine release available. The specific, honest accounting of exactly how much of your most precious resource is going to things that produce nothing in return. See it clearly, and let the seeing do what genuine seeing always does in the Stoic framework. Motivate the change. The second practice, the redirection. The release of caring from the 5 categories is not the end of the practice. It is the beginning, because every unit of energy released from those categories needs somewhere to go. The Stoic practice is explicit redirection, not just the stopping of the drain, but the immediate, deliberate, conscious redirecting of the recovered energy towards something that genuinely deserves it. Stop caring what they think. Redirect that energy to the quality of the work itself. Stop caring about the outcome. Redirect that energy to the excellence of the process. Stop caring about being universally understood. Redirect that energy to the depth of genuine connection with the people who actually matter. The redirection is what makes the release sustainable, because energy does not simply disappear when it is released from one object. It looks for a new one. And if the Stoic practice does not deliberately provide a worthy new object, the old ones will reclaim it. Redirect deliberately every time, and watch the quality of what the redirected energy produces. The third practice, the daily reminder. Every morning before the day begins, remind yourself of one thing. One simple, philosophically grounded, daily renewed reminder that the Stoics return to consistently across all their writing and all their practice. What is mine to govern today is my effort, my character, my values, and my response. Everything else I release with full philosophical intention and without apology. That reminder, every morning, before the caring about the wrong things has a chance to reassemble itself from the ambient noise of daily life. It takes 30 seconds. It resets the orientation. And practiced daily across months and years, it becomes not a reminder, but a genuine disposition. The natural orientation of a person who has internalized the Stoic framework deeply enough that it no longer requires conscious recall, because it has become the default setting of the self. The day you genuinely stop caring about the wrong things is the day everything you actually want begins to arrive. Stop caring what people think. Stop caring about outcomes you cannot control. Stop caring about being understood by everyone. Stop caring about the past version of yourself. Stop caring about being liked by people who do not align with your values. And redirect every unit of energy released from those drains toward the things that are genuinely yours. The quality of your work, the depth of your genuine relationships, the honesty of your self-expression, the daily practice of living in accordance with your actual values, the present moment that is the only place where any of this is actually happening. The Stoics did not promise that this release was easy. They never promised easy. They promised real. And the reality that genuine release produces the specific quality of life available to the person who has stopped spending themselves on what was never worth it is one of the most genuinely extraordinary experiences available to a human being. You have felt it in the moments when you were most fully yourself, when the performance stopped and the genuine person stepped forward and the life for that moment was exactly what it was supposed to be. That is what is available permanently. On the other side of genuinely stopping caring about the wrong things. If this video gave you something real, something that named what has been draining you and pointed clearly toward the release, please share it. Leave a comment below telling me which of the 5 things you are releasing today and what that release is going to make possible. I read every single comment, and I genuinely mean that. Subscribe to this channel right now if you have not already. Hit the bell notification. We release deep Stoic content regularly, and every video is built for people who are serious about the examined life. 3 seconds. Subscribe now. Stop caring. Watch everything change. Thank you for being here. Take care of your minds. See you in our next video.